Hello, in today's tutorial we're going to review how to make an observation for transportation using Origami. So I'm going to open up the Origami prompts, and everyone's screen may look different than mine. That's okay because I have different permissions than you do. So I'm going to click over here on the top right hand side where it says observations, and it'll bring me down to it'll either show previous observations completed, and in this case I want to do a new audit response. And it'll have multiple, I think there's approximately 20 in here. In this case we're going to do a transportation observation. And in this case I'm documenting an observation I did this morning when I was out in the field. So it's going to be a performance. It could be a 30, 60, 90, 180, Q1, etc. or investigation. But in this case it's just a general observation, so I'm going to click it as a performance observation. I did watch the driver make a delivery and do and drive between stops. I'm going to look him up and type in his last name. In this case it's F-A-L-E. Very important. When you filter by last name, it'll show your name as supervisor. In my case, this person is not directly supervised by me, so I'm going to delete that name, click the search, and then that pulls up his information. And it'll automatically populate everything. These area assigned observer and due date are really just required if you're assigning it to somebody else. I do have some overall performance comments, and in his case he needs to place his cones further away from his vehicle to increase visibility and so that he sees them. In this particular driver's circumstance, I pulled up and he was delivering at a school, and he had the cone directly in front of his bumper, kind of directly in line with his left front tire. And when he got in his truck, he drove away and left the cone there. So I was a nice guy, and I went back and got his cone for him because it was only half a mile down the road. But that was one of the key things I pointed out to him during the observation. It's like, hey, make sure that when you're putting cones out, put them out so that people can see them. That's the purpose. And also so that you can see them. If you're the driver, so you don't leave them behind. I reminded him these are valuable assets that cost money. And the more people leave them behind at different stops, the more money it costs to replace them. So in this case, I did not watch him perform a pre-trip. So I'm going to make that section not applicable. Driving questions. I did not see if he had a seatbelt on. And he was logged into Logis because I was following him to his location. And I do know he understands post-accident guidelines for the OPCO. I did watch him enter the street. He did come to a complete stop. He did signal to his intention to turn. And he did appear to check for traffic in both directions, and he proceeded when he was clear, and then when he turned into the street, of course the signal was canceled. He did turn, he did change lanes, so he did signal his intention appropriately. He was going at an appropriate speed. I did not see if he was able to check his mirrors or blind spots. I was probably behind about a quarter mile at that time. He could see oncoming traffic. I did not observe if he was shifting or not because I was not in the cab with him. And then he completed his turn and the signals went off. He did not enter the freeway or drive in the freeway. He did change lanes. He did signal his intention. He maintained a proper speed and distance. I could not see if he checked his mirrors. He did merge one lane at a time. and the signal was canceled. And he didn't exit the freeway. He didn't cross an intersection. He did not cross railroad tracks. He didn't pass a stopped vehicle. But he did arrive at a stop. We were in Ladue, Missouri, so there's not too many suspicious-looking people there. He parked his vehicle so he could make it easier to depart when he arrived. He did survey his delivery. In this case, he pulled up, was unfamiliar with where to go because there weren't adequate routing notes on there. The customer came out and greeted him and directed him to where he needed to park his truck. Everything was fine at this location. He did check his clearances above, below, behind, and to the sides there. He did observe his parking area was adequate to support his vehicle, and he did back in there. I'll say he did go. I was standing there with him, and I did guide him on how to back up. There was a vehicle that was parked on his passenger side where his trailer would be, and he was backing up to a double opening wooden fence gate, but I did assist him with that. After the backing was done, I coached him that had he been there, I would have expected him, by himself, I would have expected him to perform a goal and use cones. I instructed him, in that situation, I would have put the cone in front of and away from the parked car about 3 to 4 feet. There was a parking bollard. I suggested, hey, put the safety cone on top of the parking bollard, give you more visibility. And there was a flower bed on his driver's side, so I suggested, hey, put a cone in front of that, but away from the flower bed, so that it helps you line up. And when he arrived at his, so we did not use cones at that point in time because I was mobile and guiding him. When he was backing, he did stop and get the big picture. He was backing from the driver's side, and he did observe the area that he was backing into. We did not have any issue with overhead clearances. He was backing very slowly. Had I been walking by his side, I could have maintained the same pace. He did not miss his target, and he did use a spotter. He was not backing off the street. As I said, cones were not placed prior to the backing. He did have his flashers on, and then there was cones placed out after he was done backing. And then I did not see him leave the stop. I'm going to move on to, I didn't watch him leave the stop. We weren't driving at night. There was no extreme weather, so I'm going to leave those sections unanswered. He did survey his delivery area. He checked his clearances. He observed his parking area. He only backed in when it was necessary. He did bring his handheld from his cradle. I did not observe any information he put into the handheld. He did look the scenario over before he exited the cab. That was part of him parking. He did use a 3-point stance leaving, and his distractions were limited. So the trailer was parked so that it was on a level surface. He did observe for any adverse conditions. He did not complete a stretch. He did open the door prior to putting out the ladder. He opened the ladder correctly, and the door was secure, and there were no locks that needed to be applied. Working in the trailer, he did not have a TTR. He did not have to cut any shrink wrap, and I did not watch him remove any cargo straps. He did downstack as he was working to prevent falling and overreaching. He did good body mechanics, lifting cases. He was aware of his surroundings inside the trailer. He had plenty of room on the trailer. He was on his stops 5 or 6, I believe. He was not stepping on empty pallets. They were secured to the wall. He did not have any leaking products. And no shorts were observed. He was working ahead. He was down stacking appropriately for this next stops. I did not watch when the delivery was complete, so I did see him not dropping the trailer. He was facing two-wheeler in the direction of travel. I did not see him working out of the cooler or the freezer doors. I did not see him with an STS malfunction, and he was not doing a high quantity delivery. And I did not observe him with any shorts, overages, or damages. And none of the items had float labels or were utilized for wall pallets. Lifting, he was using blast method. He was keeping close to load. He was not twisting, had a straight approach, had a good grip, was lifting his legs, was moving his feet to this dropping point, and he was not reaching out. Loading the hand truck, these were all standard. He wasn't overloading them. He could see over the two-wheeler, and he was scanning the product once it was on the two-wheeler. And the next, he did not have a lift gate, but he did have a ramp. He was using gloves. Where in October it's 81 degrees today, and there is no chance of needing salt for de-icing. So his company-approved boots. He was stepping square to the ramp. It was locked in place. He was entering or exiting the ramp with his truck first. He was not backing down. He had good control, good stride going up and down the ramp. Get his back straight, and he returned to this. And working on the ramp, he did not place the ramp inside the cargo of the trailer. That's true. We didn't have any weather issues, and he did not lose control of his two-wheeler. I'm not going to answer any questions on stairs. There were no stairs, and I did not go inside the customer location with him. I did not observe him do a post-trip. Overall, he needs improvement. So I'll put my comments in there below, which I've already put in there at the top. I'm going to double enter it. I'll show you a quick little trick. Enter my name, and then scroll back up to the top here. And my comments that I put in performance comments, I'm going to Control C, so I'm going to copy them at the same time and scroll back down here and add my comments here. Once I'm now done, I'm going to click complete response. It asks me if I'm ready to complete the response. I'm going to say OK. And as you can see, now it's thinking. And now it is done. So at this point, we are complete. If you have any questions, please review the video again. The responses in this video are similar to other observations that you can complete.